Welcome to Sumner School Business Immigration Basics. My name is Emily Sumner with Sumner Immigration Law, and this is the last video in our series on the E-visa classification. Today we're talking about the E-3 visa classification, which is for citizens of Australia. This classification is similar to the H-1B visa classification in that it is for professionals, meaning it is for positions that require a bachelor's degree, a minimum of a bachelor's degree in a specific field of study in order to enter the occupation. And of course, the foreign national beneficiary has to have that bachelor's degree or higher as well. It is also similar to the H-1B in that the employer, a U.S. employer, has to file the petition, and the employer has to have a certified LCA or labor condition application in connection with the position that you are applying for. The E-3 visa classification is similar to the other E classifications, the E-1 and E-2, in that there is no USCIS petition required before you apply for an E-3 visa at the U.S. consulate. So you can schedule an interview at the U.S. consulate in Australia and have a certified LCA and apply for the visa and have it granted without having to have a USCIS approved petition first. The E-3 visa will be valid for 2 years. The I-94, when you enter the United States, should also be valid for 2 years. The I-94 is the record that's created when you enter the US, and it tells you how long you can stay and work in E-3 status in the United States. Make sure you keep in mind there's a difference between the I-94 expiration and the visa expiration. In this particular case, both happen to be valid for 2 years, but those dates probably will not match up. Make sure to check out our video on the difference between the I-94 expiration and the visa expiration if you haven't already. Those are important concepts to keep in mind. If you are in the United States working in E-3 status and you want to extend your status, there are several ways that you can do that. One is you can stay in the United States and file an E-3 extension petition. The employer would file this E-3 extension petition. As long as you timely file, you file before your current I-94 expires, you can work and stay in the United States in E-3 status for up to 240 days after your I-94 expires. In addition, premium processing is available for this particular visa classification, at least as of today. That's always subject to change. You pay an additional fee and USCIS will make a decision within 15 calendar days or sooner, or issue a request for evidence. The other option to extend your E-3 status is to leave the United States, to apply for a new E-3 visa at the U.S. consulate overseas, and then use that visa to re-enter and get a new I-94 that's valid for an additional 2 years. It's not required that you do that, but an advantage is that now you have a valid E-3 visa that you can use to travel back and forth outside of the United States. If you stay in the United States and file the E-3 extension, remember that will extend your stay and it will allow you to continue to work and travel while the petition is pending for up to 240 days and beyond once it's approved, but that does not extend your visa, and you have to have a valid visa in order to re-enter the United States. Finally, in some instances, it's possible to leave the United States before your E-3 visa expires and re-enter, and you should be admitted for a new period of 2 years. If you do this, you have to have a valid LCA. Remember that your initial LCA is probably going to be valid for 2 years or 3 years, so your employer has to make sure to have a certified LCA, regardless of which way you apply for the E-3 extension. If you are in the United States in E-3 and you want to change employers, that also is a possibility. There are 2 ways to do that. One is for the new employer to file an E-3 petition for you with USCIS. They have to file that petition with USCIS and it has to be approved before you start working with the new employer. That's unlike the H-1B that allows for something called portability. With the E-3 classification, it has to be approved before you begin working. The other option is to leave the United States, have a new E-3 visa stamped in your passport at the U.S. consulate overseas, and then re-enter and begin working for the new employer. Our next video in the Sumner School Business Immigration Basics series will be on the H-1B1 visa classification. Until next time, I'm Emily Sumner.